Hey everybody, what follows is the complete compilation of my Slint album reviews. Check them out, nerd out about Slint in the comments, and if you enjoy what you saw, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy. 1 minute review, Tweez by Slint. Tweez was my introduction to Slint sometime in late '94. I was a Louisville kid, new to the scene, all hyped up on hype about this legendary band I kept hearing about, and I stumbled upon a Slint cassette one day after school at Blue Moon Records. 'Twas Tweez. Suffice to say, I didn't get it. Even after discovering Spiderland, Tweez seemed like a completely different band, some kind of weird inside joke. While I deeply appreciate Tweez now for what it is, it's undoubtedly a very flawed recording, largely due to the shenanigans of engineer Steve Albini, who would do the same thing to Pixie's debut LP, Surfer Rosa, a few months later. As the new Tweethan mix reveals, Slint was weird from the start, but not nearly as schizoid and off-putting as Albini made them sound. In fact, there are some pretty great moments on Tweez. In particular, Carol slaps, and the doomy Charlotte ain't far off from a lot of the best Louisville hardcore of that era. For me, Tweez will always be a big what if, that record that could have been so much more than what it is. I give it a B. 1 minute review, Spiderland by Slint. So what was it that Brian McMahon was beckoning to when he howled about some place past where the river bends, past where the silo stands, past where they paint the houses? Well, I like to think it was the place we now call Spiderland, which the band itself would discover for us. The pride of my hometown and unlikely Louisville legend, everything about Slint's second album demands your attention. Those goofy heads poking out of the water, the soft-spoken storytelling, the intricate guitar work, the organic sound of the bass and drums, the crunchy no-frills production. Ultimately, it's just a wonderfully beautiful collection of haunted ghost songs unlike anything before or since. Spiderland is the legend of four punk weirdos saying, what if we did everything different from how it's been done before? The result is an engrossing and cryptic journey and the launch of a whole new genre of music. Ain't no doubt it's an A+. 1 minute review, Untitled EP by Slint. Recorded between Tweez and Spiderland on some throwaway studio time, turns out this was Albini's chance at redemption for what he did to Tweez. And boy, does he redeem himself. While these songs didn't see official release until Tweez was dust and a memory, they show the band transitioning from the weird noodly jazz metal of Tweez into the murky no-frills ethos of Spiderland. The heavy minimalist gloom of Glenn is like an instrumental cryptid, a masterpiece in my estimation, and Rhoda shows how glorious Tweez might have been had they waited another year to record it. This one's an alpha of an EP, and unfortunately the end of the line for Slint. 1 minute review, Spiderland Deluxe Edition bonus tracks by Slint. For an album as iconic and legendary as Spiderland, one would hope for much more from the Motherlode Deluxe Edition reissue, but the truth of the matter is, Slint were just four ambitious indie kids that no one believed in until they'd already broken up and moved on. That means that there just isn't much else to go on, despite the fact that the band did briefly reunite around '94 to make another go of it. I don't know, maybe there's more, but the things we can be most excited about here are a studio outtake of Rarity Pam, a live cover of Neil Young's Cortez the Killer, and a couple of raw post-Spiderland demos that in true Slint fashion are only named for their composer. Honestly, neither feels very inspired. My high school bands made cooler stuff than them on Jambox recordings. But it's Slint, so I'll take what I can get. Still, a studio version of King's Approach would have been sweet. 1 minute review, Tweethan by Slint. As the story goes, bassist Ethan Buckler quit Slint after Tweez because he hated what Albini did to the band's sound. The newly released Tweethan mix is Buckler's attempt to recreate the band's sound at the time, minus Albini's editorial inputs. Ironically, that's much more in line with the latter Albini ethos that would give us monuments like Pod, In Utero, Rid of Me, and Viva Las Blues. So what's the result? It's pretty brilliant, actually. The songs sound fuller, they last longer, and they feel far more present. No longer is Slint just the Spiderland band. They can now be appreciated as a pretty great band from the start. Of course, there's no undoing the past, but it's nice that the songs of Tweez can now be appreciated as far more than strange inside jokes. And I, for one, would love to see another Slint tour where they play both Tweethan and Spiderland in entirety. Tweethan gets an A from me. 1 minute review, the For Carnation self-titled LP. While we never got an official follow-up to Slint's masterpiece Spiderland, I think the For Carnation self-titled LP comes pretty close to filling that gap. Helmed by Slint vocalist and guitarist Brian McMahon, the For Carnation falls right in line with the Spiderland vibe. Another extended 40-in voyage through dark and gloomy places. This time around, there's more instrumentation in the mix, from strings and synths to Kim Deal's haunting vocals. The throbbing droner Being Held even features an arresting drum solo from Britt Walford, like it's post-rock's In the Air Tonight or something like that. Honestly, every track on this album is closer to Spiderland than anything on Tweez, and for my money, it's an underappreciated gothic masterpiece all its own. I give it an A. 1 Minute Review, live from a shark cage by Papa M. While Slint briefly reunited in 1994, they never made it out of their practice space, and that was all she wrote until the reunion tour of 2005. During that gap, no member was more prolific than Dave Pajo. He contributed to classic records with Tortoise, Zwan, and Will Oldham, amongst others, and began releasing his own solo work under variations on the moniker M. The best of these is the instrumental LP Live from a Shark Cage, released in 1999. Like Brian McMahon's The For Carnation LP, Live from a Shark Cage swims in the same murky gloom as Spiderland. It's a fairly quiet guitar-based record, dense with mystery and minor keys. And like the For Carnation LP, it's pretty much a masterpiece. Since we never got a follow-up to Spiderland, I like to think of those two records as their spiritual successors, solid indications of what we might have gotten from another decade of Slint recordings. Live from a Shark Cage is highly recommended by me. I give it an A.